now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story. Now, Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story is a documentary film that was made in the UK that talks about the late actor Christopher Reeve following the equestrian accident in 1995 that led to him becoming paralyzed and eventually becoming an activist for disability rights. Now, this is a powerful documentary about the later life of the late actor Christopher Reeve and chronicles the time as he looked to try to become this activist for disability rights and help those who were paralyzed find the funding and support to deal with their paralysis and work towards overcoming that paralysis. This was the later work of Christopher Reeve's life as he formed the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation in his later years. Now, this trailer, the only thing that's available right now to see is the trailer because the documentary in and of itself is only going to have limited distribution from about September 21st to September 24th, and it will only be seen at a handful of theaters. And I'm hoping that this documentary eventually comes to streaming because there's no theaters in the area for me to go and see the entire movie. However, what I saw in the trailer basically was very moving. It was very moving to see this documentary basically cover the early years of Christopher Reeve's life when he was playing the role of Superman, playing the world's greatest hero, and showing how he went from playing the world's greatest hero in the Superman movies to going on to becoming a hero for those who suffer the disability of paralysis and those who suffer disabilities. I mean, this whole documentary basically shows the transformation of Christopher Reeve, the actor who went to Cornell University. He's an Ivy League actor who went to college at Cornell, went to the Juilliard School, and became one of the greatest performers along with his contemporaries like Robin Williams. And as he went from becoming this great actor to then winding up becoming a great father, as shown in the documentary footage, Christopher Reeve was a great father to all of his children. And he was the kind of man who basically led his family as they went on vacations, doing things like swimming and skiing, because Christopher Reeve was a very athletic man, and he also enjoyed hobbies such as participating in equestrian competitions. So he was a man known for just, again, having a very active life. And the tragedy that took place in 1995, I remember sitting there watching the news as they talked about this tragedy where Christopher Reeve, this is something that he did all the time. He always competed in equestrian events where he would ride on a horse and look to jump over different obstacles. But that one day, sadly, as Christopher was looking to jump over one of these obstacles, he wound up falling over his horse and winding up landing on his head. And tragically, after he wound up landing on his head, he wound up completely paralyzed from the neck down and basically had to rely on respirators in order to breathe. And at one moment in his life, like the documentary talked about, because I watched other interviews that he did. I believe he did one with Diane Sawyer at about a month or a year after what happened, and he talked in depth about how he had basically felt really bad about what happened, and he basically wanted to give up. I remember watching that interview back then, and then him saying that his wife basically was someone who inspired him to get that courage to continue to go on and look to continue to go on. And this is where we saw the transformation of Christopher Reeve from playing a hero to becoming a hero to many as related to having disabilities, becoming a hero to many out here who had disabilities such as paralysis, and helping them by being someone who showed that he would not give up, would not go out here and just give up on life, but continue to push. This is what Christopher Reeve did in his later years as he looked to find a way to get some sort of progress as related to helping those who did deal with paralysis be able to regain their mobility. I mean, this was something he was trying to do, and this is what made him a hero. Now, Christopher Reeve had a strained relationship between himself and his father, and this whole tragedy, he eventually reconciled with his father, and then started, again, continuing to persevere. And as he persevered, he eventually started to become a different kind of hero, a different kind of hero from the icon that he was and the paragon that he played on screen as Superman in DC Comics. This is where he became the kind of hero that Marvel Comics would usually promote, or the kind of hero I usually kind of write, which is the person who is a person who is an ordinary person who's in an extraordinary situation, and this ordinary person who is in an extraordinary situation finds the courage to persevere, the courage to overcome whatever adversity that they have. And this is what Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story, talks about in its documentary footage. It talks about the man Christopher Reeve as he becomes a hero to men and women all over the world, a hero to men and women all over the world as he's dealing with his adversity and going out here and not just giving up. He goes on to go out here and make narration of a HBO film, Without Pity, where he won an Emmy Award. He goes on to write multiple books, and he goes on to direct movies and continue to act in a remake of Rear Window, which he basically showed how great an actor he was because he got a Screen Actors Guild Award for his performance and also won a Grammy as well. I mean, in his later years, he showed how much of a hero he was to people because he just didn't give up on life. He just didn't give up on himself. And he continued to persevere and continue to show his strength of character, because that's really what makes a man a hero. What really makes a man a hero is not only is him being an ordinary man, of overcoming extraordinary situations, but having that strength of character to persevere. And that's all talked about and chronicled in Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story. It tells the story of how Christopher Reeve was a hero and not just played the role of Superman, but also became a hero later on in his life, basically showing what makes him a hero is his internal character. It's his internal character that makes him a hero, made him a hero for generations. I mean, for many of us Generation Xers and Millennials, he will always be known as Superman, but I also see Christopher Reeve as a hero. I also see him as a hero because he basically, again, faced all of this adversity later on in his life. Later on in his life, where most people start to coast in life, this is where he continued to pick up and stand. I mean, he stood as related to his character. Now, he could not move his body, but he moved himself and again moved. And this is what made him, again, a true hero. Again, a true hero who continued to push as related to life and continued to go on not only as an actor, but also went on to become an advocate for those who suffered paralysis. And because of the work that he did behind the scenes, there are people who are now are starting to walk and starting to move. This is what's shown in the documentary, all because of Christopher Reeve's perseverance, all because of his perseverance. He basically, this is his legacy. I believe this is more of his legacy than his signature role as Superman, is the work of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And this is the work that basically, again, led to him being a hero in and of himself. I mean, this man, again, just he never gave up, and that's what really made him a hero. Really, this is what made him a great hero, and this is what the documentary talks about. And I'm just looking forward to seeing this documentary. This is one that I definitely want to take a look at. I really want to take a look at this documentary. Now, it's not really distributed in this area of New York City, the Bronx, and other parts. I mean, it's just they have a limited run, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to see this documentary on HBO Max. From what I saw in the trailer, it looks like a very powerful documentary. Looks like a very powerful documentary, and I definitely want to take a look at it and see how Christopher Reeve again had that impact on life. Now, I only saw later on those interviews, like on what he did, I think, with Diane Sawyer. I can't tell who it really is because it's been a long time since I've seen that interview, and I saw his appearances on Smallville, and I learned more about him from different research. I mean, I've been following Christopher Reeve for a lot of years, but this documentary basically is going to tell a comprehensive story, so I'm eager to see this documentary, and I recommend any comic fan see this documentary because it shows us the hero behind the character of Superman and shows how he became a hero in and of himself. Now, this was a video that was requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box, and if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you want to pick up some of my books featuring heroes and heroines on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find many of those books, like the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my Black sorority novel, The Thetas, or my Black vampire novel, Eternal Night. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.